Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Big Kid Milfalcia, 100,000 welcomes to you all. I'm here to chop up Liverpool versus Man City. One of these clubs is going to miss out on the title race, as far as I'm concerned. Liverpool have lost way too many matches in the last 6 weeks to lose one more. I know everybody says we should be happy with a draw, maybe, you know what I mean? The old way used to be win your home matches and draw against your title contenders and see where it all shakes up at the end of the season. And hopefully you win the title. I can't see it working out that way this year. We have lost as many games so far as we did in the entire season last year. So I think Sunday is the clash of the Titans. It's either last year's Premier League champions v Pep Guardiola's mammoth Premier League champion winners, and it's going to be winner takes all. Liverpool fans want to say, no, it's not going to be over, and it's going to be over. The title race for Liverpool will be over on Sunday if we come away with anything other than 3 points. Arsenal are playing this brand of football where they seem to be set up to try and score as little or concede as little amount of goals as Man United when they got, I think it was, they went on at 14 matches where they won and conceded no goals, or the Invincibles where they're trying to take back that mantle from the old Arsenal, where they're going to try and win the league, basically. Not going invincible, of course, because they've lost to Liverpool, but just by basically conceding maybe the least amount of goals ever conceded by any Premier League winning team. They are the team to beat, Arsenal. They have basically brought in Eze, they brought in Jokovic, who hasn't really hit the ground running. Zubamendi has just slotted in there alongside Rice and Co, and basically they are just one compact, very tight mid-block defensive team. They don't give up chances. They've perfected the old school set piece, score from your corners, score from your long throw-ins, and basically back to the old Arsenal of old, which is basically go 1-0 up, shut up shop. If we can hit them on the counter, fine, but we won't expose ourselves to any kind of counter-attack. So the Arsenal are basically, unless Arteta does what he did a couple of seasons ago, basically possibly gets caught out with injuries in the second half of the season, which can happen, possibly gets caught out with players loss of form. But if everything keeps ticking along the way it has been ticking along, unless he implodes, his tactics implodes, whether he overthinks things going forward, it looks like it's him. And unless Manchester City or Liverpool can do what they used to do, which is basically consistently just put win after win, back to back to back to back, and just keep on that roll. Pep Guardiola and Manchester City have done it in the past. Liverpool have chased them down on numerous occasions and came up short by a point on numerous occasions. So basically, it's down, as far as I'm concerned, to Liverpool or Manchester City to run them down. We've given them a head start. I don't know what we were doing. Apologies if I haven't been around for the last few weeks. I've had dramas going on here. I've had a roof leak. I've had to move out. I had roofers in here doing work. I came back, got a virus, very ill for a bit. I thought it was over. Then I had a relapse a couple of days ago. And then the roofers came back because they forgot to put a section of guttering on. So they were banging and slamming around here for the last couple of days, and I couldn't do anything online. So apologies for that. Like I said, as far as I can see, the last couple of weeks have been, whoa, I don't know how to start this. They have been absolutely bonkers. I don't know what's going on with the Liverpool fans. They seem to have decided that they've turned into what I can only describe as what Arsenal fans were back in the day. Fighting between each other. I don't understand. Some people suggested with the run of losses that we had that basically they were slotted out. Another section decided that they were going to stand on the hill of we're slotting. To be quite honest with you, I don't know why everyone decided they needed to pick a side and have some kind of slagging match between themselves for some reason. You know what I mean? We're all Liverpool fans. We're all here. We all want the best for Liverpool Football Club. And to be quite honest, if we all had to look at it like adults, last year, no pundit, no ex-player, no top fan channel on YouTube or X or whatever gave Liverpool a chance of winning the Premier League title. No one did, because nobody has a crystal ball the last time I looked. And when everybody looked into the crystal ball at the beginning of the season with Arne Klopp last year, the best everyone thought Liverpool were going to get was third. Some people thought we weren't even going to finish in the top four and get in the Champions League. And Slot came in, and nobody knew last year what tactics Slot was going to bring in. Slot decided he was going to not do anything outrageous. He tried to get Zubimendi. We all know what happened with Zubimendi. We're not go trashing through that again. We brought Chiesa in, and basically we had the same lineup as we had from Klopp. So we had to run it back. And Slot decided that he was going to make slight adjustments. He put Gravenberch in the 6 instead of Klopp was trying to run McAllister, and he decided that basically he would run a pivot of Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai. He told Szoboszlai he was going to run down the wing and cover basically everything that Salah wasn't going to do. He told Salah, don't worry about running back. That's what he's going to do. You don't worry about going back. And we're going to put the two boys on the wing. We're going to run with Diaz, we're going to run with Gakpo, and we're going to run with Nunes and Jota up front. That's how we're going to run it. And basically, we already knew the back four. The back four was the back four. And he ran it with it, and he made a few tweaks, and he went for, this time last year, he ran Man City at the Etihad. He decided that he would go 4-2-2-2, 4-2-2-2, and basically we all walked away from the Etihad with a 2-0 win. We done the double over Man City last year, and we were flying. And let's face it, we were bouncing. We didn't exactly know what Klopp's tactics were because he didn't really move too far away from what the players already understood when attacking and defending, and that was fine. He kind of swayed away from that at the back end of the season when we thought we had the league, or just about when we had the league tied up, and everybody was basically on holidays, wherever they were, and we lost a few matches here and there. And then this season, we went on this big mad spending spree, the likes that I've never seen at Liverpool Football Club, the likes of the spending spree we'd all dreamed of for decades under Klopp and on previous managers, where we all thought, we are where we are, we spend big, and we keep up with the big lads and basically try to continually win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. And we ended up basically losing one of our players through a death of unforeseen circumstances in Jota. May he rest in peace. We sold Nunez. We sold Diaz because Diaz wanted to leave. We got rid of Simicast. He's out on loan. And all in all, well, we lost Trent, but there's nothing to go there. All in all, we all kind of went, where were we going to go with the new squad? That's a lot of players to start losing. And then slowly but surely, we got Kirkis in. We got Frimpong in. Then we got Katika in. We got Wirtz in. And then after a long drawn out pissing contest, we ended up getting Isaac. So the issue we all knew going in this year compared to last year. Last year we went in not knowing what Slot was going to do based on the fact that he didn't sign any players and he had Klopp's whole team. And everybody had written Klopp's whole team off, said that they were done, they were dusted, Salah was past it, BBD was nearing the end of his career, Robertson, his wheels had come off, the same as Henderson, and so on and so forth. So when we basically won the league, we were all ecstatic. Let's just face it, we were all ecstatic. Wildest dreams, number 20, in the bag, big parade, everybody excited, everybody couldn't have asked for a better end and a beginning to the summer. And then we had the summer of wet dreams on top of basically winning the Premier League out of nowhere, and winning number 20 and equaling Man United and being the biggest club in England once more. We had the wet dream of all wet dreams in the summer transfer window, and we were ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic. And here's the problem when you have a big window like that. Nobody remembers that we sold a ton of players for a ton of money. And yes, we spent 450 million. And I'm not too sure now with all the numbers that have been fired around. Did we spend 450 million euros? Did we spend 400 million pounds? We'll call it pounds for the sake of argument. We sold in the region of 300 million pounds. So we only basically, in the heat of the hunt, if you add the figures up, back to net, spend, if you want to go that way, we ended up spending probably 150 million, which is what basically Man City do every summer on at least one player and a backup player. But They have the ammo. They're all going to sit there and they're all going to say you have 450 million quid's worth of superstars, made players. They are not players for the future investment. So they all expected Liverpool to come out and absolutely smack everybody in the Premier League. And as everybody knows, the Premier League is not a league where basically it suffers fools. Um, so we all sat down and we all wondered what Arne Slot was going to do. Was Arne Slot going to do what he did last year? Um, and none of us could figure out. Everybody speculated. The pundits speculated. The Liverpool top channels on YouTube, they speculated. They brought in experts. They brought in ex-players. We've had to listen to all the rest of the YouTube channels, whether they're pro-Liverpool, whether they're anti-Liverpool, whether they're Arsenal fan channels, or we want to sit in the middle fan channels. And nobody could figure out where Klopp was going to go this season. The reason we chose Arne Slot, as far as I remember, was we were all told he was going to basically follow in the footsteps of Jurgen Klopp. He was a 4-3-3 type of player, management. So that was his style, seemingly, and I never seen too much of Slot playing in Holland. I don't think anybody had taken too much heed of Arne Slot before he came to Liverpool. Everybody going back with rose-coloured glasses and pretending that they had. There might be a handful of people who did from that neck of the woods, but I don't remember any of them putting their hands up and saying they knew a shitload about fucking Arne Slot. Amaron was everybody's favourite after Alonso went to Real Madrid. We all wanted Alonso. We all knew his system. He played three at the back, two wing backs. We took one of his wing backs, as in Frimpong, and we took one of his other midfielders, as in Flo Wirtz. So the question was, if we didn't want Amaron and he played three at the back with two wing backs, we didn't get Alonso, and that was the kind of style he wanted to play. And Arne Slot was chosen over Amaron, seemingly because that was his system and Arne Slot's system to come in and take over the players that we had at Liverpool based on the 4-3-3 system we had instilled in all age groups at the club. We all thought that's what he was going to do. And seemingly this year, when we all got up and we all started to watch the pre-season matches, it didn't look like we were going to go back to 4-3-3. And we took no heed because it's pre-season, we were missing a lot of players that were off on holidays, that were injuries or playing away or whatever cups that were played internationally or whatever they were doing. The usual, basically, jazz. You only had some of the players, and then we were waiting on players, we were selling players, we were bringing in new players, and we didn't bring in some of them right till the very end. We lost out on signing Crystal Palace's Guehi right on the last minute of the deadline. And what I couldn't understand was, after we signed all these players, was this: how on earth were we going to play Frimpong and Kirkus, Wirtz, Ekitike, Isak, and put them into a team with a system with 4 to 5 of the outfield players who played with each other, and all of these players, apart from Frimpong and Wirtz, had never played with each other at all. So basically, this was going to be a conundrum that I wanted to see Slot put together. Getting one player to gel in with a system can be tricky. I remember when Klopp was trying to do it with Fabinho, he brought him in. He played really, really bad. He took him out. He put him back in. He still wasn't great. He took him out. He put him back in. And then basically, he seemed to basically get up to the speed of what Klopp was asking of him and to the Premier League, and then he never looked back. But for a long time, I remember when we took Fabinho in, he came with Klopp, we went, whoa, whoa, what kind of a guy is this? He doesn't look like he's anywhere near the standard of playing in the Premier League. And then after a while of coming in and learning the system, it all just clicked. But it took months. We all remember it took months. And he was only one player. And we ended up with 5 players. And 3 of them are in the front line and 2 of them are in the back line. Now, some people will say Frimpong is a winger. Where's he going to play? Because he hasn't played as a winger at Liverpool. He's come on when basically the kitchen sink had to be thrown at it. But I'll get to that in a minute. So the first few matches we played, I think we played 4 matches. We won them. They were messy. They were scrappy. They were last minute. And we all thought, we're not playing great, but we're winning. And then the whole wheels just came off one by one. And we had loss after loss after loss. We lost to Galatasaray, which is, I know Galatasaray won again the last night, but traditionally Galatasaray wouldn't be much of a problem for Liverpool, not even in the bad old days. I know Osimhen is basically scoring like some absolute goal machine out there at the minute. He's almost doing what Haaland is doing in the Premier League. But the question we all had, and what we couldn't see in the first 4 matches, and what we couldn't see in the 4 matches that took place after that, is we couldn't see what Slot was trying to do. Kind of had an inclination that he kind of wanted us to pass it out from the back. And in the middle of all that, we lost Alisson with a hamstring injury. And we had to bring in Ashwili. So that wasn't great. So then we had basically 6 players that we arrived at the club on the team and trying to fit them in. And we were all trying to figure out, do you play Ekitike behind Isaac? Isaac had no pre-season. He wasn't match fit. Do we play Ekitike up front? Do we play Wirtz in the 10? Where do we play McAllister? Who we playing in the pivot? It looked like Gravenberch wasn't sitting as a 6 anymore, and he was running. He had some sort of let off the chain, so to speak. We were basically taking 25, 30 passes before we got to the halfway line. The rest of the teams that were playing mid to low block had already set up and set their traps. By the time we got there, 1 straight pass, and the next thing was they sprung into their attack. And as the saying went, 1 pass is all it takes. Was the chant from the opposition fans. 1 pass is all it takes. And then we had the meltdown from the fans. We seem to see Klopp saying, well, I don't know whether you call it suspect or... He was saying kind of strange things. He was trying to say that all these teams like Burnley and Brentford and possibly fucking Sunderland when we meet them and Forest all have this kind of, low block. They're all into taking set pieces and long throws, and he was saying we're not set up for that. And I was kind of going, how is a professional team, football team, professional players on it getting paid 150 grand or more a week, going, oh, I don't know how to defend a corner? Like, what are we doing here? You don't know how to defend a corner. You don't know how to defend a long throw. This isn't Sunday fucking league. These guys are getting paid £150,000 a week. Salah is getting paid £400,000 a week, plus bonuses, plus all the sponsorship deals. He's been playing football since he was fucking 5. He's now 33 years old. He's one of the top scorers in the Premier League. He's one of the most world-renowned footballers. And basically, we're being told by the manager, Salah doesn't know how to defend the corner. Okay. Because you ask him, would he mind scoring a few fucking goals then? How about that, like? Kanate doesn't know how, as a defender since he was 5 years old, doesn't know how to defend the corner. Van Dijk doesn't know how to defend the corner. They all don't know how to defend the corner. Suddenly, they're all blank canvases walking around as soon as someone takes a corner. I'm sure the fuck they've been practicing this under Klopp, under the previous managers that they were playing, teams they were playing under. I'm sure this shouldn't be much of a fucking problem. Everybody pick up a man and fucking basically fucking put the ball rose head the fuck out of here. Or words to that effect. Do you know what I mean? I'm not buying this fucking nonsense that basically suddenly Van Dijk, Kanate, Szoboszlai, and all these players fucking suddenly just don't know how to fucking defend the corner. They've got the same amount of players as we do. Pick one up, sit on them, fucking defend it. Or whatever the fucking coaching staff are telling you to do, well, fucking do it. But don't stand there with your dicks in your hand and allowing basically a 5'5", 5'6" McAllister to stand near a 6'7" fucking content board or a centre back who's come up specially to fucking head the ball. That's a no-no. We've seen that last year in the cup final with Newcastle dunk marking Maka. Like, who in the fucking right mind is fucking organising that? That one of the smallest midfielders we have against one of the tallest defenders they had, and they picked that system in Newcastle to target Liverpool, and we basically lost corner after corner. And I don't know whether this is a slot issue, because basically if he's saying we don't know how to defend corners, and basically when we look back at that Newcastle game, when basically Newcastle targeted Dunk on McAllister, and they've done it at least once, if not twice, just before when they scored that goal on us in the cup final. And nobody picked it up in the Liverpool camp that they were doing it. Nobody picked it up in the Liverpool box, Virgil didn't spot that this is what they were doing. Kanate didn't spot that this is what they were doing. Szoboszlai didn't spot what they were doing. And none of the coaching staff seen what was going on and told anybody that we're doing it. And basically, from what Slot is saying is, yeah, we don't really work on that. So they throw in corners and they throw in long throws. We've no prep work done for that. So it is what it is. That's mad, but that's what's fucking going on. And then we went on and we had to try and figure out what system. And people came up with wild things that we were playing 4-4-2, one half, then we dropped to 3-0-0. I can't even remember what they were. We were playing with 7 up front, I think, at one stage. Someone said we were playing 3-1-6 at one stage in one match, and 3-0-7 in one other match, and I was going like this. I don't ever remember these being formations. They said we started off with a 4-3-2-1, and we moved to this, and nobody could tell me, basically, at one stage, we seemed to have everybody up front, barring the goalkeeper, and we were just getting destroyed. And then we had the people who were going, I don't know what I'm seeing here. I can't believe that we went from being the Premier League champions, we signed all these players, to watching what I'm watching, where I can't understand what the system is, what the idea is when we're going forward, what the idea is when we're going back. Our midfield looked non-existent. We were getting ran through by teams like Burnley, Brentford, you know what I mean? Anybody was able to run through us. McAllister looked like he was running in boots that were set in concrete. Kirkus looked like basically he never played left back before. We had issues on the right side where we started off with Bradley, he got injured, so he played a match and then got injured. Then we had Frimpong, then he played and he got injured. Then we had Sabazalai then had to be put into right back. Um, we had mess ups where basically Endo was put in at right back. Then another sub had to come in to put Endo back into midfield and put Joe Gomez, I think it was, back into right back. And then we had Sabazalai going back in another match into right back. Then the substitute with Joe Gomez going back into right back to solve that problem. And it just looked chaotic. It looked unprofessional. It looked like Hail Mary stuff. It looked like we were throwing everybody up front, trying to win the match, or trying to get back into the match, and basically just one swift counter attack, basically, and they were tearing us apart. And then we had the fallout then where they decided basically on one side that, maybe Klopp, match after match after match after match, loss after loss after loss after loss, is concerning. And some people basically get more concerned than others. Certain people basically said they weren't concerned at all, and that in Slot we trust. And the other side said they hadn't seen no evidence of any change in strategy or any change in system or any change in what they could perceive as a way in which they could see us get the next win based on the 8 or so games that they had witnessed. And that's fair. That's a fair assessment. They were basing it on the previous 8 matches of football they'd watched, and they were going back then and looking at the back half of last season and saying, I'm wondering, is this a pattern? And that's how businessmen make money. That's how, if you're trading on Wall Street or you're trying to solve some mathematical equation, you have to look for patterns. And people were looking for patterns, and they were trying to say, in the new year, was there a pattern where Slot decided to move away from the slot system, the Klopp system, and then transition into the slot system? And they were trying to say that basically that we hadn't been playing well and getting results since the back end of last season, and then they added it to the 8 matches that they'd seen this season. And Salah had basically shown no form, didn't look a shadow of the player he was. They couldn't figure out why. Was it to do with the loss of his friend, which can affect you, you know what I mean? In an emotional way, where basically, you know what I mean, you think you're turning up for work, doing your best work, but basically you're not, kind of thing. And nobody can answer that question. Only Salah can answer that question. But everybody making hypotheses that basically they know what's going on in Salah's head, or basically they know by what they can see by a man crying on the pitch. Who knows? That's a job for a psychologist. That's a job for Salah. I know his wife came out and said, you know what I mean, he's finding it hard. He's struggling a bit. Give him a chance. And nobody wants anything but the best for Salah. Nobody wants anyone as a Liverpool fan to succeed. Not me, not any of the other people who do fan channels that support Liverpool. But see Salah break records, bring Liverpool to the top of the Premier League again this season, and win 21, win the Champions League, and just engrave his name forever as one of the all-time goats of Liverpool Football Club and the Premier League. And people just couldn't see whether it was the system, the way we were playing. They didn't know. Nobody could make any sense of what was going on. And I think people were just basically panicking. Then we had the other side basically going, oh, you're all a shower of wankers if you think that fucking you're going to turn around and get rid of Slot. You're not real fans. You're enemies of the club, and I don't know if that's somehow something that's becoming ingrained in the UK at the moment, where basically everybody's picking a side about something. You've got the Reform Party over there who's basically peddling whatever they're peddling, because I'm not going to get involved in that debate. You all know what they're peddling. And you have the other side who are basically opposed to the views of the people of Reform, and they seem to be just going head to head. And they've divided the country, it seems, into two camps who are just warring at each other. And meanwhile, the guys at the top, in my opinion, are laughing all the way to the banks. And if you don't know what I mean by that, it's all out there. And it almost seemed like that kind of contagion seemed to take over in the Liverpool fan base, where it was like everybody decided, I'm in the slot in camp, you're in the slot out camp, you're a shower of dickheads, you're a shower of dickheads. And everybody just wanted to stand around as Liverpool fans and turn into fucking Arsenal fans. For no apparent reason. Other than somebody just wanted to say, oh, I'm right. What the fuck does it matter? If Liverpool keep winning matches, we're all right. And if we lose fucking goddamn 6 matches in a row, or 7 matches in a row, 10 matches in a row, or 20 matches in a row, you know what I mean? Where does the scale slide? Where does everybody basically start to go like this? Well, just because basically one side has decided that they just want to have a crack at somebody else and go, I'm a bigger fan. Really? How fucking old are people? You got 40, 50 or 60-year-old fucking men going around acting like fucking 13, fucking 14-year-old fucking kids. I'm a bigger fan than you. No, my dad's bigger than you. That's all I can hear. It's kind of going, you can get a life, you lot. Put your points across. You basically want to say, this is the reason I'm behind our manager. These guys put their opinions and articulate their points of view as to why they don't think, based on the evidence that's before them for the last 8 matches and what happened last season and what kind of system that they've seen Slot play in Holland and the statements that were coming out with Slot. This is why I'm basically Slot out. And basically, two sides of a debate having difference of opinions, but they're all in the same team. You just go, agree to disagree. Let's hope basically the team, the manager, the club can sort it out and we get back onto winning way. And then, out of nowhere, Slot has decided to tweak the system again. Now, I don't know, and nobody knows, whether this tweak is permanent. Whether he's decided that he's not going to go and implement the system and the style that he was going to instill at the beginning of the season, because he's now seeing that there's too many new faces and too many injuries and knocks and niggles, and he basically needs to get the team back to winning way, back to a system of cohesion, and back to winning ways again. And that seemed to be what he did against Aston Villa. He put the old midfield from last year, which consisted of Dominic Szoboszlai, Maka Gravenberch, put them back together again, and basically went, uh, this is how we're going to do it. Um, you two guys are going to sit here in the pivot. Dom, you're just going to basically do what you normally do. And I'm going to talk about Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai basically has been Liverpool's best player by an absolute country mile. Head and shoulders above everybody. He's basically like if you had Henderson on steroids, on all the Peruvian marching powder. He's just like boom. 1 minute he's in the 18-yard box, belongs to Liverpool. The next minute he's in the opposition 18-yard. The next minute the ball's getting turned over. He's gone from their 18-yard box back to Liverpool's 18-yard box, and it seems like he's the bionic man. If anyone doesn't know who the Bionic Man, all you need is the music from the Bionic Man, and you can just see him. Boom, boom, he's back. Boom. He's like some sort of machine. Let's hope this man doesn't get injured. I didn't put it out there in the atmosphere. I'm just fucking saying, if this man gets injured, we have no Szoboszlai replacement. There's nobody that I can think of that we can put in there that does what he does. And I don't know how you're going to rotate Szoboszlai out of the team to rest him. Because Endo can't do that. Matt 10 can't basically facilitate that role because he's not athletic enough. Wirtz can't do it. So getting back to basically what Slot did, Slot put back his old team together in the midfield. He said, fuck it, I'm going to go back to the old system. I put Robertson out on the left. Bradley, he was fit, but came back from injury. They said, righto, here we go. The old back four with Canate, VVD, and then basically they went in front then and put the three amigos. They put the two boys in the pivot, as in Maka and Gravenberch, and they put Szoboszlai. They put Salah on the right, and then for some reason we went with Gakpo, and then we went with Ekiti. And we got the result against Villa. Everybody calmed the fuck down. Everybody took a breath. I'm really sure that was the team. We got the 3 points. Everybody took a breath, but then everybody decided to say, well, you know, one swallow doesn't make a summer. And that's fact. And the next thing we went to Real Madrid. Real Madrid, informed team in Europe, only lost once this season. And yeah, it was at Anfield. And yeah, we should be thinking we can get a result against them. And yeah, he went with Bradley, Robbo, the three amigos, the two boys at the back. And then he did something that nobody thought he'd do. He played Wirtz on the left, with a Tiki going through the middle and Salah on the right. Now, some people, and some of the channels that I've been watching, were saying, play Wirtz on the left. Because seemingly, last year for Alonso, he was playing on the left. And he used to drift in from the left. And that's the way he was most effective for Leverkusen last year. And he wasn't like an orthodox left winger. So he's not a left winger as in a guy that runs down the byline and crosses the ball in. And he's not really a type of gap go, run up the line, cut in type. He kind of has a system where he drifts in and floats around and interchanges with other members of the midfield and the forward line. So when he drifted across, Maka went up into the space that he vacated. Then Ekitike sometimes drifted out into that space when he moved in to create space in front of him. And it seems basically that this is, or possibly is, the answer to where we play Verts going forward, because playing him as a 10 didn't work, as in a conventional 10 didn't work, because he hasn't got the physicality and he doesn't have the box-to-box ability of Dominic Szoboszlai. He doesn't have his size, he doesn't have his tackling or duel winning ability. Szoboszlai is just a bigger unit. So it's almost like Slot has decided we're going to be more compact in the middle, harder to play through, go back to that system. A system I don't think he likes playing. A system that he has mentioned that he wasn't too happy with this type of system, playing this type of system. He mentioned in interviews that he tweaked the team to play Real Madrid last season and City last season when he did the 4-2-2, but he didn't like playing that style of football. And I'm a Liverpool fan, the same as possibly the rest of you watching this. Winning type of football, to me, is great type of football. I know players they get used to the system, they like playing the system, and when they win, they get in the habit of winning. And it's like winning means winning, and it's the old case, you know what I mean? We were in that habit. And I don't know why he decided philosophy over practicalities. To me, if I had a philosophy and I seen it wasn't working, I'd go, well, maybe I have to change my philosophy. Because there's no point cutting off your nose to spite your face. You know what I mean? It's all good and well saying I had a system. He had a system that he had a system that he was happy with playing in the Dutch league, and he was happy that basically he was successful with that system and that philosophy in the Dutch league. But I've got news. First of all, the Premier League is not the Dutch league. And anytime any team that we ever met that came out of the Dutch league in the last 10 years, if not more, we gave them a spanking. Any team out of the Premier League that met anybody, whether it was Ajax, whether it was Feyenoord, whatever, they just got walloped. And if anybody is watching the Champions League, anybody that's coming up against Ajax looked like the worst, weakest champions, if not one of them weakest Champions League teams that's in it. If I'm not mistaken, I was trying to remember who they played. But Ajax not playing Galatasaray. I'm not sure on that. I thought I seen them play, and I just seen them getting bulldozed. They were a young team. Ajax again are a young team. They have this academy of football where they keep churning out great little players. You know what I mean? Gravenberch came from there. De Ligt came from there. De Ligt, when he was 17, came from there. He looked like he was a world beater, and then I don't know what's happened. His career just went downhill. But getting back to the philosophy of Slot, you've got to understand those teams came up against Premier League teams and got basically beaten up. So you got to think basically when you're in the Premier League, you use a system, whether it be a bit of Klopp's system and a bit of your system and a bit of his philosophy and a bit of your philosophy, doesn't matter. You did the one thing that Premier League managers that have been sitting in the Premier League for fucking many a year and many a decade, didn't do, have never done, have come and gone, is win the Premier League. And you won it on your first ever go. So maybe philosophy be damned, sir. Philosophy be damned, sir. Win at all costs, at any cost, and if it's at the cost of your philosophy, so be it. Take one for the team, Slot. Take one for the team. Forget about your philosophy. Just play winning football. Because the performances we seen against Villa, we were all happy with it. Wasn't perfect. Football matches are never perfect anyway. But we seen the shoots of what we did last year. It was better than we've been in the previous matches. It wasn't outstanding. But then we played Real Madrid, and oh my, oh my, oh my, let's go. Let's go for the rest of the season with those type of performances, and let's win. And if we play like that, like in all fairness, we played Real Madrid, and basically Conor Bradley, who had been asked to invert in the matches that I'd seen him play, and I kind of went, why is this lad inverting into midfield? He doesn't have the tactical ability to play in there. He doesn't have the know-how. He doesn't have the skill. Why are we trying this? This was all right when we used to try it with Trent. Trent was the next midfielder who played right back that we converted. We all know the story. I'm not going to go through it. Two different types of players. And Conor Bradley is a decent, if not a very decent, right back. He is a no-nonsense, I'll put one on you, I'll leave one on you, and basically I'll get sent off if I have to, but you're not going through me type of defender. He's pacey, he goes forward, he's an overlapping right back, he's pretty okay, above average for his ability to put crosses in the box. You know what I mean? He's not Trent Alexander-Arnold by any stretch of the imagination, but he's decent enough. But he likes to go past players. He likes to find himself in the box. That's all great. Can we just see more of that? And since we bought two guys who basically have pace on the wings, I'm sure we're going to see Frimpong come in at some stage, and that guy doesn't like to invert either. He likes to go down the line. He likes to go dribble past players. He likes to put the ball into the box. And I'd like to see more of that. Thank you very much. Kirk is same. He is a flying wing back, if you ask me. I have no idea how he went from being in the Premier League team of the year last year to looking like he was the bin man that we took out of the fucking street playing for Liverpool this year. I have no idea. He looked nowhere like a Premier League left back. He looked like he had no first touch. He looked like he was scared to take the ball in possession. He looked like he was afraid to go forward with the ball. He was always putting the ball into midfield. He was inverting, almost like he was covering as another centre back or something. I don't know what system we were playing. He looked like he didn't know what system he was playing or what he was doing, and it all just didn't look right. Even when he overlapped, we had him playing with Gakpo. Gakpo basically seemed to forget that he was playing with him this year and not against him, and wouldn't give him the ball. Yeah, and we've got a 150 million striker that's still injured. Doubt he'll be back. He's definitely not going to be back for Man City on Sunday. Definitely not going to be back. So I'm hoping that basically what we do is we run back the Real Madrid dream team, and we go out there and we give Pep one hell of a fucking run for his money. Because if we lose, we're gone. There is no Premier League title this year. We lose this match at and to be honest with you, I'm not even sure if we draw it, are we gone? To be quite honest, because Arsenal win, that puts them, you know what I mean, further away from us again. What's that going to put them, like 9 points ahead? We draw, that keeps them 8 points ahead. Then we go on the international break. We come back. We're almost in December. We've got to play Nottingham Forest and a couple of those teams that basically slot us and like to play with. You know what I mean? He wants revenge on Nottingham Forest, even though Nottingham Forest aren't even being coached by the same team. They've had two managers since he beat them the last time. So it'll be interesting. Be interested to see basically how this all pans out. It'll be interesting to see how Man City are going to line up. Ireland is just a goal machine at the moment, and he's just scoring goals for absolute fun. He's just like something that was made in a lab, you know, like the Terminator. I'll be back. And Foden, who for whatever reason took a, I don't know, seemed to take a student holiday last year, you know, like backpacking or something. This year he looks like the Foden that won the Premier League and one player, young player of the year. They've got Doku on the left. They've got Reinders. Whether they'll play Shirky or whether they'll go with a different type midfield, where they play. I'm wondering, is Pep going to overthink it, or are we all going to overthink it? Is he going to play with a number 10 in Shirky? Or is he going to leave Shirky on the bench with Marmoush? Or is he going to go with Marmoush as his winger? It's hard to know Pep. Pep sometimes can basically, instead of doing the easy thing, he'll do a hard thing. And he's been known to overthink things before. Is he going to think, well, Slot's team basically don't like when you take the long ball route, and is he going to set up in a kind of a low block himself or mid block and basically try and catch Liverpool out with long balls over the top into Haaland? And that's going to make for an interesting fucking matchup. Is Kanate going to take him? Because anytime I've seen Kanate play against Haaland, he normally has him, you know what I mean, pretty locked up. But Haaland this year is basically, you know what I mean, he didn't play, unless I'm mistaken, Haaland wasn't, in the match we won in the Ahead last year, Haaland was injured. He didn't play in that match. That's just from my memory. I could be wrong, but I'm nearly sure he didn't play in the 2-0 loss last year to Liverpool. Whether they decide that basically the weakness of Liverpool this year is basically to sit with a mid block and knock it over the top into Haaland, or whether they're going to play a completely different system where basically they're going to play with a 10 in Shirky behind Harlan and go that way and try and come through us. It's hard to know. Pep he can outthink himself. Never mind me trying to sit here and try and figure out what he's doing. He could play the exact same team that he played there in the win against the Champions League win, or he could play the team that played and won in the Premier League last, or he could play a different system altogether. We don't know, but Man City have won 6 of the last 6 home matches, and Liverpool have found it very hard to go away to the Etihad and come away with anything other than a point. I'd be very surprised if we can go away to the Etihad and come away with anything other than a point. And I don't know if that's going to be enough. Liverpool have kept 2 clean sheets in the last 11, 12 matches, 13 matches. We kept a clean sheet against Real Madrid. We kept a clean sheet against Aston Villa. And I don't think we've kept a clean sheet in any of the other Champions League or Premier League matches from memory. And that's not good. And that's not good. And we're up against the most informed Premier League striker in Europe. He's just breaking records in the Champions League, fastest to this, most goals in that, fastest to this amount of Premier League goals. You know what I mean? The man is not human. He's almost like he's not human. And everybody said, oh, he just sits and goal hangs and he scores up there. But remember when he came, he was injury prone. Remember that? He was always picking up a knock. He was always getting himself injured. And Pep kind of went, here, what you're going to do is you're going to sit up there and you're going to basically, you're not going to run around, we'll just get you the ball. You just sit there and when the ball comes to you, just bang it into the net. And he did. This season, he seems to have gone back to the old way of playing. He seems to have gone back to the old way. Do you remember the old way when he used to play in Germany? Where he just burst onto the ball. Remember that goal he scored when was it last week? Where he was in his own half, the ball got knocked forward, he ran onto the ball, he ran the full length with the defender pushing off the defender, and he just slotted the ball home. And that's the way that he used to play before he came to Man City. He used to score all type of goals. He'd be running from 30 yards out from the right, coming in as left, bang, goal. Same, coming in from the right, coming in, bang, goal. Headers, all types of goals, and he's back to doing that this season. I don't know whether basically he's told Pep, you know what, I'm bored of this hanging around the goals, Lark. I want basically to have license to come deeper, and basically I've got the ability now, the fitness levels, I'm not growing anymore. I seem to be over all these injury niggles that I had, and let's just go from there. But as far as I can see, this is going to be, from what I can see, the end of the road for the title chase for one of these clubs. I can't see, unless one of us comes out of this with the 3 points and walks away with it in the bag, I can't see it. I can't even see City catching Arsenal. Arsenal win on the weekend. They're going hot. 7, 8 points clear, barring any major injuries to any of their key players, which can happen. I haven't got a crystal ball here either, so I'm not going to pretend that I can see the future. Um, to me, this is it, and this is how it will be. I assume broadcast on the major networks out there over the weekend. That this is the Sunday night big match. This is the Clash of the Titans. It's winner takes all. You take your 3 points, you march on, and you hunt down Arsenal. You lose, well, you've always got the Champions League. That's the way I see it. That's it for me. I'll be back on Sunday to do a watch along. Hopefully, I'll get better at doing these streams. Slán that. Remember out there, you can be anything in life. Try and be kind.